Ever imagine like slicing through steel with a beam of light? I mean, with the precision of like a surgeon.
Yeah.
That's laser cutting machine operators for you. Way cooler than it sounds, trust me.
It really is like a really cool mix of high tech and, real craftsmanship.
Totally. So whether you're like thinking about this kind of job or you know someone who does this, or even if you just geek out about tech, this deep dive's for you. We're going behind the scenes of laser cutting with some really cool insights from RoleCatcher.
Yeah, they've given us a lot to unpack.
So think of it as your like crash course on what this job actually is. The good, the bad, no fluff, just the facts. So let's start basic. What is a laser cutting machine operator?
So they're the ones running these awesome machines, right? Using, focused light beams to cut or even melt metal. And the accuracy is incredible.
So like high-tech sculpting.
Exactly. Taking raw materials and like shaping them with crazy precision.
Okay, but they're not just like pushing a button and watching sparks fly, right? Yeah.
No way. It's way more than that. They're using digital blueprints, programming CNC machines, like constantly making sure that laser hits the workpiece perfectly.
So there's a lot of problem solving, actually.
Tons. A lot more thinking than you'd think.
RoleCatcher mentioned like different career levels for this, right?
Yeah, totally. They lay out how, like, you can start with the basics, maybe focus on setting up the machine and, getting the hang of it. And as you get better, there are more senior roles.
So like managing a team, even developing new processes.
Exactly. There's real room to, grow your skills and responsibilities.
That's awesome. But what about the day-to-day? What's good? What's maybe not so glamorous?
Well, a huge plus is the precision, right? We're talking creating super intricate designs in metal. I mean, the accuracy would make a watchmaker jealous.
Wow, yeah.
And it's not just one material. They're working with steel, aluminum, brass, copper, even some plastics.
So high-tech and versatile.
Yeah.
Pretty sweet, but gotta be a downside, right?
Mm.
What's the catch?
Well, like any job, there are trade-offs. RoleCatcher's really upfront about safety. I mean, those lasers are powerful, so eye protection is non-negotiable.
Yeah, makes sense.
And it can be physically demanding, being on your feet, so you got to be careful about ergonomics to avoid strain.
Not the best gig if you hate safety goggles, then.
Probably not. But for those who love that precision, the problem solving, being at the cutting edge of manufacturing, it's incredibly rewarding.
And speaking of cutting edge, is this career like secure? What's the job market look like for, laser wielding pros these days?
Things get really interesting here, and this is where RoleCatcher's data is super helpful. The demand is actually increasing for skilled operators.
That's got to be good news for anyone thinking about this.
Oh, absolutely. Makes sense, too, when you think about how many industries are using lasers now. Aerospace, automotive, even medical devices.
Yeah, they all need those precision parts.
Exactly. So there are jobs out there, but we did talk about robots earlier. So is automation a threat? Should they be worried about, robots taking their jobs? It's not so much a threat as like a shift in the role. Automation is changing things, but it's not getting rid of the need for humans.
Okay, so more adapting than replacing.
Exactly. RoleCatcher found that the operator of the future needs to be adaptable, tech-savvy. Less about manually doing every little thing, more about programming, troubleshooting, and like next-level quality control.
So got to be good with your hands and your head.
Exactly. Learning never stops in this field.
Which is where resources like RoleCatcher come in. They're not just about like understanding a job description. They're about helping you get that job.
Totally.
But before we get into their amazing tools, let's take a quick break. Stick with us. We're back. Diving into the world of laser cutting machine operators. Before the break, we were talking about how RoleCatcher isn't like just giving you info. It's like a whole career toolkit, right?
Mm-hmm. Totally. And they've got some really cool stuff, especially their job board and their interview prep resources.
Let's talk about that job board for a sec.
Yeah.
How is it different from, just looking at any job site online?
Well, one thing is they pull from like everywhere, so you don't have to search a zillion different websites.
So it's like a one-stop shop.
Exactly. But it's way more than just like listings altogether.
Okay. What else does it do?
Remember how we talked about tailoring your resume?
Yeah.
RoleCatcher actually helps you do it. They look at what the job needs and like compare it to your resume, even highlight any skills you might be missing.
Oh, wow, that's really useful.
Right. And they don't just like point it out. They'll suggest ways to fill those gaps. Like say the job needs you to know a specific software. They might suggest some online courses.
It's amazing. And they have that interview prep thing, right?
Oh, yeah. That's where they really shine. Huge database, over 120,000 practice questions.
Whoa, 120,000. That's a lot of questions.
Yeah. It's a lot. They cover pretty much everything, from the basics of how to like operate everything to tougher stuff, troubleshooting, safety protocols, even how to maintain the machine.
So, like, tell me about a time you had to troubleshoot something. Or, like,
Yeah.
how do you keep everyone safe around lasers?
Yeah, exactly. And they're not just random questions, they're all about what you'd actually deal with as an operator.
It's like seeing into the future of your interview.
Right. And get this, they even use AI for it.
Oh, wow. Really?
You record yourself answering, and their system like analyzes everything, how you speak, what you say, your body language, everything.
So you get feedback on how to improve.
Yep. All based on like actual data. So it's not just guessing, it's what really works in interviews.
Sounds super helpful. It's like they actually want you to get the job, not just, understand what it is.
Absolutely. That's why they're such a good resource. They're not just throwing information at you. They're like giving you the tools to, actually build a career.
Love that. But, okay, beyond the cool tools and, how awesome this job seems, let's zoom out for a sec. How is laser cutting, like, in general, changing things for everyone, even if you're not going to become an operator?
Right. Good point. It's easy to focus on the job itself, but this tech is way bigger than just one career.
For sure.
Yeah.
So, like, how does it impact the everyday stuff we see, use, all that?
Well, think of it this way. Lasers mean crazy precision, but on a huge scale. So you can make things like cars, smartphones, everything with way more detail and with less waste.
So it's not just faster, it's like straight up better quality.
Yeah. And that means a ton for, anyone buying these things. Stuff becomes cheaper, it works better, and it's easier to get that fancy new phone. Lasers probably help make it happen.
It's kind of wild when you think about it. Like, lasers are in everything.
Totally. And it's not even just like the products, it's the possibilities. Lasers are changing medicine, like with super precise surgical tools and even custom implants.
Whoa, no way. Lasers in healthcare? That's insane.
Right. It just shows you, we've been talking about the operator, but lasers are everywhere. They touch so many parts of our lives.
True. And it makes you realize, even if we don't see it, we all benefit from this tech,
Yeah.
and the people behind it.
Exactly. And that brings up a big point. You gotta keep learning. Just like lasers are always changing, we have to too.
So whether you're, like, already doing this or just starting out, be curious. Don't be scared to learn new stuff.
100%. And who knows, maybe this has made you think about, I don't know, a field you never even considered before.
And if it has, don't stop here. Keep digging, ask questions, keep learning, because that's the most important thing in a world that never stops changing.
Well said. Couldn't agree more.
And on that note, we're wrapping up our deep dive into the world of laser cutting machine operators. Hope you learned some cool stuff, and who knows, maybe even found a new appreciation for the power of lasers. Until next time. So we've talked about the skills, the tools, the whole 9 yards of laser cutting. But how does this affect, the average person, even if they aren't going to be, like, rocking safety goggles anytime soon?
That's the big question, right? Connecting the dots between lasers and, like, your everyday life.
Exactly. So how does it actually, impact the stuff we see and use every day?
Think about it. Laser cutting. It means being super precise, but on a huge scale, right? So
Right.
products, cars, phones, whatever, they can be made with so much more detail, less waste.
So it's not just being faster, it's better quality overall.
Exactly. And for people buying those products, it's huge. Stuff's cheaper, it works better, it's everywhere. That new phone you like, lasers probably helped make that happen.
It's kind of mind-blowing. Like, lasers are seriously everywhere these days.
Totally. And it's not just the products, it's like what they let us do. Lasers are changing medicine, right? Like crazy, precise surgical tools, even custom implants.
Whoa, lasers in medicine. That's wild.
It is. And it shows we've been talking about operators, but the tech itself, it's everywhere, touching every part of our lives.
So true. And it makes you realize, even if we don't always see it,
Mm.
we're benefiting from all this, all this tech, the people behind it.
100%. And that brings up something super important. Learning. You got to keep learning. Lasers change. We got to change too. Keep up.
So no matter what you do, if you're already in this field or just starting out, be curious. Learn new stuff.
Exactly. And hey, maybe this got you thinking about something you never even considered before.
And if it did, awesome. Keep going. Do your research, ask questions, keep learning. That's what matters most in a world that just, like, never stops changing, right?
Couldn't agree more.
And on that note, that wraps up our deep dive into laser cutting machine operators. Hope you learned a ton, maybe sparked your curiosity a bit, and hey, maybe you even found a new appreciation for lasers. Until next time.